What's up, guys? Welcome back to the shop. In today's video we're going to be making a new forge. Now let me show you the forge that I have right now. So this is the forge that I have. I bought this about 3 years ago when I bought this house and moved out from where my old shop was, where I was sharing a forge with my brother. And so I bought this guy online and it's been working pretty well, but as you can see, it has a lot of use in it. The liner's falling down, the sides all the way burned through. I have another hole on this side, and overall it's just it gets the job done, but it's time to make a new one because this guy's definitely falling apart. Now this stand I made probably like 5 years ago when I started forging. It's a crappy little stand that I made with a whole bunch of angle iron. So what I'm planning to do is I'm going to make a new stand and I'm going to make a ribbon burner forge. For my ribbon burner I have this old Husky compressor that was in my other brother's shop that doesn't work. It hasn't worked for years, and I took it and I'm gonna be cutting it apart and using it for the body of the forge. We'll be lining it with some kale wool and do all that good stuff. First thing I gotta do is I gotta take this guy apart because all I'm using is this metal husk. Alright guys, so I got the tank here on my little table and I got this guy stopping it from rolling. And I decided I'm going to make it 18 inches long. The forge I have over there is 16 inches. And I don't really ever use all of it. And so I thought about making it 16, but I just added 2 extra inches just because. I might be making something longer or whatever. And it'd be nice to have that extra space. So I'm going to go with 16 inches. It's going to leave me about 18. That's going to leave me about 6 inches here. Maybe a little bit more. But yeah, it's gonna be a good size. It's gonna be a good size overall forge. So I'll probably just get rid of this piece. I could make the whole thing, but it's just overkill. I'm never gonna use that much space. Even 18 is kind of pushing it, but I don't want to make it 16 just because whenever I can make a longer billet and I have more of it hot at the same time, I can work it faster. So that's mainly why. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting this guy. I'm gonna cut off the 2 sides. Alright guys, so the tank has been cut. It's the size for my forge, which is 18 inches. And I've been asking around, and this guy is gonna be the tube that I use for my ribbon burner. I was told 13 inches to not have any cold spots, so that's what I'm gonna do. I have my piece marked out here. I'm gonna go on ahead and cut it, and that is because I need to mark it on this tank so I can cut out the slot for it before I move forward on this build. So that's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna cut this out and we'll prep this afterwards, but for now I just need the definite measurement so I can trace around so I can cut this. Alright guys, so I got the hole cut. Everything's looking good. Over there I have my kale wool, my ceramic wool that is good for 2300 degrees. So I'm going to be using that to line the inside of this guy, and I want to put 2 layers. I'm thinking about doing 2 layers. It is 1.25 inches. 2 layers would be 2.5. But I'm also going to be forcing it down a little bit and putting a mesh on it. So I'm going to compress it a bit. And so I'm going to be using these 2-inch screws and I'm going to be welding them every so often in here. And all that's going to do is going to give that wool somewhere to adhere to, and it's going to hold it in place. And whenever I do my compressing, the little tip should be able to pop out, if not a little bit more. And I'm going to put a piece of chicken wire over that. So this is the chicken wire that I'm going to be using. My brother was actually going to trash this piece and I grabbed it and I said, whoop, it's mine now. So I'm going to be wrapping it with this, and then I'm going to tack weld it to the tip of the screw, and that should hold in place. Do that in several parts, and then once that is done, I will be able to make a mold so I can put in my Castellite, and then at that point we're just going to have to wait for it to dry. So we're going to go ahead and tack these. I'm only going to be doing them like around probably 3. And I'm gonna be doing them in lines of 3. I don't need too many. I just need quite a few to hold it all the way around. And as I go, I'll be just spinning around this circle, the cylinder, and that should make it a pretty quick procedure. Hopefully it's quick. All right, guys, so now that everything's meshed up and I got my kettle in there, I'm gonna start working on my form. So here I have this 8-inch tube, and this guy is used for concrete molds. And I would have liked the shorter one. This one's 4 feet. I would have liked the shorter one because obviously I'm not gonna use all 4 feet, but this is the only one they had. They have anything shorter. I already went on ahead and marked it out. I have it to 19 inches, so it's just an inch above where this guy's gonna be sitting flat. That way, whenever I fill it up with concrete, I can work around it and kind of mold it exactly where it needs to go. So what I'm thinking about is how wide I'm gonna make this mold. The bricks I have are 4.5 by 9 inches, but at 4.5, I feel like I don't have much space to work with. If I fill all of this up with our concrete mix that we're gonna be using, which is specialized for this, I just can't think of the name off the top of my head. But yeah, that mix, I was only planning to have about an inch all the way around and at the thinnest spot, and wherever needed more, obviously more would go, because this is gonna be in a regular shape. It's pretty much gonna be like flat, then up, and around. I want the burner to hit the wall and roll around and heat everything up nice and evenly without having any just direct heat on one spot. But I think 4.5 is much too thin, so I'm gonna actually go with the 9-inch around, and we'll see how we fit it. So I'm gonna go on ahead and cut this guy and get everything set up, and I'll get back to you afterwards. All right, guys, so I got the mold in here. I had to adjust it a little bit. Ended up taking about 1.5 inches off, a little bit under 1.5 inches off the bottom and off the sides to be able to make it fit in there better. So right now it fits, has a decent bit around it. And now I'm just trying to figure out exactly where I want the burner to fit in here. Once I figure that out, I'm gonna cut a hole in here. That way I can push the piece all the way through, and I can have a nice clear opening in between the castelites the refractory that I'm gonna be putting in here, and the actual mold. Another thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually wrap the mold in some clear tape, and that's just to help it from sticking to the refractory and hopefully making it a lot easier to get this guy out afterwards. I haven't seen anybody do that, so I'm assuming they don't really have issues getting it out, but just in case, I'm gonna go on ahead and do that. All right, guys, so I'm pretty much ready to pour. I have this guy in there. The only thing I gotta do is caulk around it before I pour, and caulk around on the inside because this hole's a little bit bigger than it needs to be, and that way I don't, have concrete going there. So before I get into that, I'm gonna actually start working on my burner. So this is the piece that's gonna become the burner. I'm gonna end up cutting a lip all the way around it, cutting the center and leaving just about a 1/4 inch lip or something around there. I'm gonna cap the sides and I'm gonna put a little diffusion plate on the inside. I don't know what it's called, but it's a plate and it diffuses the air, so it's a diffusion plate. And that's just gonna be a plate with a whole bunch of holes, and that's gonna help the air disperse throughout the inside, and then that way it can evenly come out the holes that are gonna be in the refractory. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut that hole, and I also have to weld a piece on top, and that piece is gonna be a threaded 2-inch insert, which is this piece. It's not an insert, it's a coupling, but it is threaded, and I'm gonna put it centered, and I'm gonna go on ahead and weld it on here, and that's where we're gonna thread in all our plumbing. And so I gotta drill a 2-inch hole. It doesn't have to be precise, it just has to, you know, leave enough opening in there for the air to go in. So we're gonna go on ahead and start getting all that ready, and we'll come back to it once I have all those pieces ready. Alright guys, so I've made this piece. I bent it here just slightly. I don't want too much bend. And this piece is going to diffuse the air. And I have my end caps, my ears that I'm going to be putting in here. I had to make it out of 1/4 inch steel because this is the only steel I had that was big enough to cut these out of. Since this is 3 inches, I don't really work with steel that big. Normally what I use is 2 inches for making my canisters and stuff. So I had this lying around, so what better time to use it than now? And all that's left to do is weld it together and to make a mold for casting our burner. And obviously I gotta also weld this top piece on here as well. Looks pretty good. The hole's just slightly smaller than needed, but that's okay. So we're gonna weld this up, and then we're gonna move to making our mold so that we can cast our refractory here and over there as well. Alright guys, so I got my piece right there. It is fully welded and ready to go. And I'm starting up on my mold. I've actually already made the mold. That's why we got holes and all that good stuff, just to save on some time. And what we're going to do is figure out how many holes I need to make in this mold for the holes that are going to be shooting out the fire on the burner. And so the way to figure that out is to pretty much, in this case I'm using straws, you can use crayons as well. My brother made one with crayons and it worked perfectly fine. I'm just going with straws because honestly they were cheap. So you want to fill out the hole pretty easily with the straws, and that's going to give you roughly how many holes you need. And because that's the airflow you're going to have, and that's the airflow that you're going to be pushing out on the other side. So in total I have 33 straws here, so I'm probably just going to do 3 lines of 11, and I'll evenly space them out. We'll drill our holes. These are going to be 5/32. That's roughly the size of the straw. I think it's a little bit over, but I'm going to go with 5/32, and hopefully it fits in there well, and that hole is just for it to, you know, sit in there. Alright, so I've gone on ahead and marked them. I got 35 marked. I had 33. I'll just add 2 more. It's not a very big deal, but that will allow me to have nice even spacing and nice even everything. So it's going to be 1 2 3 1 2 3 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go on ahead and drill those out and put everything together. Alright guys, so it's been 24 hours and I went on ahead, flipped it over, put it on some blocks because one side stuck out more than the other, and this is what we have. Obviously I figured there was going to be some gappage on this side, so I'm going to go on ahead and fill and stuff all that in and then let it dry another 24 hours before removing the mold. I might let it go for 48 hours before I remove the mold. I'm not sure yet. But we're going to go ahead and fill up all this negative space. Alright guys, so it's been another day ever since I did this. It's been actually 2 days, I believe. So we're 3.5 days on this dry. So I'm going to go on ahead and remove the inside, the mold that we used, and we should be good to go. I'm going to still let it dry another day, maybe 2 days before I fire it up. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and remove this mold and see how it's looking on the inside, and hopefully everything goes good and it can air dry properly in the next couple of days. Alright guys, so I have the forge set to the side. It's been drying here as well as the burner for like a week already. I've gone on ahead and touched up the inside where I had those minor cracks and stuff. Oh, I thought I had a crack right here. It's just light coming through. So yeah, I got everything patched up. It's plenty dry now. It's been like a week. So I'm gonna go on ahead and start working on a frame for it. Alright, so I have my legs cut out. They're right there. They're 36. I'm going to be adding these 4-inch wheels to them just to make them easier to move around. The way I have it set up right now, it's just flat on the ground and I have to drag it. I don't want to do that. I want to have a nice clean area underneath, and I want to be able to put it to the side whenever I'm not using it. That way I don't have it in the middle of my very limited space. And then I can't, I have to be walking around it all the time. So I'm going to put some wheels on it. And this guy, I'm going to actually take apart. It's served this purpose. Oh yeah, I never showed you guys this side. This side's also been eaten up by the flame. So this guy served this purpose, and this steel is going to be repurposed onto the new forge. I'm going to be doing the top rectangle with this and whatever else I need. So goodbye, little forge stand. You served me well for the past 4.5, 5 years or so. So we got the stand done. We're pretty spot on for the most part. A little bit of a wiggle in there, but other than that, we're pretty spot on. Remember, I'm gonna have a brick on here and a brick over here, so that's gonna help protect this steel. And I still gotta build a type of lip or something out here so I can sit my my bricks in there. But for the most part, that's pretty nice. Now I'm gonna go on ahead and take this off, and I gotta flip the table over and put on the wheels. Alright guys, so let me give you a quick overview of what I've done. I've set the forge where it needs to go, flipped it over, we got them wheels on. We've gone on ahead and just tack welded it in place, that way it's not moving around. And I got the burner in there, and I put a couple pieces of angle iron with one quick weld spot on there, and that should hold it in place. I didn't do anything at the bottom. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to run into the issue of having to do something on it and then having to remove a lot of welding, so that's why I went that route. And now we're going to start with our actual burner. Now our burner is going to consist of a lot of parts. I'm just going to go on ahead and put it together, and then I'll slowly explain it afterwards. Here I have most of my components. I have to drill a hole in this guy where I'm gonna go on ahead and insert another smaller nipple, and that's where my gas is gonna go in. So I gotta put that together. I gotta drill a hole, and I gotta weld a nipple in there, and then attach everything together, and I'll get back to you guys. Alright guys, so we got the setup complete. So we have our burner, we have our coupling that we welded, we got a 2-inch nipple, we have a 90, we have another, this one's I believe is 16 inches. Then we have our ball valve, and then we have a cone I ordered for House Made that's specifically made for these ventilators. You can get those at House Made. You can get a link for that at House Made, and you can get the cone that's 3D printed specifically for that fits the ball valve. And then over here, I welded on the 3/8 nipple, and then I have a needle valve, and then I have my on and off for opening and closing my propane. So this controls the propane, this controls the propane. I have all the appropriate fittings. You can look all that up. I had to get these guys though. I had to get the one that connects here and the one that connects over here locally because I ordered the wrong stuff. Other than that, as well as I got my line, all that stuff you can get on Amazon. And if you buy a whole kit for it, you probably get the right connectors for it. I didn't. I bought everything separately, and so I ended up getting connectors that weren't made for these. They have to have a flare on it that goes into it, and then you can screw it on. I didn't order that. I ordered the ones that were just straight thread, and so they did not fit, so that's what I had to get locally. And that's pretty much the whole setup. So now all that's left to do is turn it on and dial everything in, and hopefully everything's good. I did use some putty on all my joints, with the exception of the most bottom one, but that's just compressed air going through. And for these, I use tape just because it was easier, but this is all propane rated, so you got to be sure to get the propane rated stuff. But we're going to go on ahead and light it up and let it cure, and then we're going to turn it off. That's pretty much it. Let's go on ahead and light it up and hope everything works properly. So I got it running. Alright guys, so I've had it running for about an hour, and as you can see, whenever I heated up that piece of, I believe it was a piece of spring. That's one of the things I really like about this forge. It does a great job at heating evenly, which is something I wanted. In the other forge, which is down there, I only use one burner to begin with, and it's heated pretty well. The reason I didn't want to use both is because then I'd have two hot spots and a cold spot in the middle. But with this guy, I can heat evenly and thoroughly, and that's definitely going to help out a lot when I'm drawing out a long piece. That way I can continuously work on it and I don't run into hot spots and cold spots. And overall, it's been a very nice build. I am probably like $700 to $800 in on this build. The refractory was quite expensive, and I used a lot of it on the bottom part of the forge, which you don't really see, but it was that bottom part where my floor is at. I still have modifications to do to it. It is a little top heavy, and it could tip over. It's not gonna tip over, but it could if you pushed it. So I'm gonna be building a rack on that side to hold my tongs, and I will be putting a shelf on the bottom, and I'll be putting a lot of heavy stuff down there that is just in the way anyways. Or I'll put on my 3-burner forge in there, which I probably won't really be needing anymore because it is just slightly bigger than this guy. But I definitely still have a couple upgrades to do. But that's it for this build, this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to help support the channel, as you know, link in the description down below where you can find my store. There's a couple really nice knives on there that you can buy to help support and help cover some of the cost of this build, because it has been pretty expensive. But other than that, I really appreciate you guys watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.